Hey guys, we're playing King of Cards today. We're trying to beat the game in an hour and 30 minutes, which is one of the last feats that I need other than finishing the game on New Game Plus, which I haven't done yet. So let's go ahead and start a new game. This, of course, is one of the games in the Shovel Knight series, of which there's 4. You can see all 4 here. And we're going to be playing King of Cards, which I have played exactly about 4 times. The first time was a casual playthrough. We're gonna be 2 Fly. that's gonna be our name. So we're gonna start the clock right now. I played through casually just earlier this week, and I had fun with it. And then I saw that feat for an hour and a half, and I'm not really a speedrunner. I've never really tried that sort of thing before, but I wondered if I could just do the hour and a half mark, because it seemed like I wasn't sure if that was a doable goal or something that was really challenging. So I thought I'd try it, and I did it myself, and it took about 3 hours for me to try to just blitz through, and most of that was dealing with enemies, the bosses, and just the enemies you encounter in the stages, and figuring out kind of the best way to slide past them as quickly as possible when you're very limited with health. Because in this game there's all sorts of upgrades. Some of them are pretty broken, where you can basically fly across the stage and do all sorts of crazy fun stuff, and you can also unlock lots of health and other items that help keep you alive. But I decided that, you know, if you're going to get through in an hour and a half, you just kind of have to skip almost everything and blitz. So I was also trying to do one of the other feats where you basically don't collect any of the items and beat the game. So I thought I'd just kill 2 birds with 1 stone and see how that went. And it ended up taking me about 3 hours. So you start the game with 4 hearts, and it's really not enough for me, because I've only played this game like 4 times, and I'm not that familiar with it. So, which is one of the reasons why I've never gotten too deep into speedrunning. I respect the heck out of it. I love people who do it. I love watching them. But actually doing them takes so much mathematical thinking and patience and just real consistency that I've never had the stomach to try before. So this game seemed like an easy one to pick up, and just not really trying to set a world record, but just unlock this feat and set a personal best. So like I said, my first attempt was 3 hours. And taking all the stuff I learned from that, I decided to do another one and do a recording session with it. But unfortunately, that one, the video had a problem when I looked back on it, where it was kind of cropped, and it wasn't really usable. But it was kind of just as well, because of that attempt, taking the things that I learned, I came in about an hour and 41 minutes. So I was about 11 or 12 minutes over. And it wasn't necessarily that I really got stuck on any one spot. It's just kind of that I took a few too many deaths and got nickel and dimed for the time here and there. And I realized, like, doing the commentary kind of was distracting, and I was making small mistakes. And I realized that the window was much tighter than I thought it was. You can't afford too many mistakes. You just kind of have to go through. And also, I haven't watched other people's like runs of this, or learned about like items you should get or ways to optimize things. So I'm just kind of spitballing what the route it is that I take, and I'm not opposed on this one to getting items. So when I can afford it, I might get hearts from our mother character that I just passed by. That was our house, where you can buy pies from her and it gives you an extra heart. And I might try to collect some of the medals that you can see in the stages. There's about 3 medals in every stage, and you can trade those in for items that do various things for you. So there's one of the medals right here, and if it doesn't cost too much time at all, I'll just grab a couple of those so I can buy something along the way, maybe. And I'm not sure which items are where and what's the best one to buy to actually be helpful, so I might just try to grab one at random and see how it goes. So we're still flying by the seat of our pants here. I'm sure there's a really fast route and way through some of this stuff, but I'm just kind of guessing with the stages that I'm going to. And as you can see, I'm kind of floundering a little bit because I'm not paying as much attention as I ought to. But it takes a little bit to get into the rhythm for me. So I'm hoping if I pick up some extra hearts and prevent some deaths, and grab an item that maybe speeds me up a little bit, I might be able to shave off that extra time and actually accomplish the hour-and-a-half feat. The game itself, I played Shovel Knight. It's the only other one I played, and I played it very quickly. I just kind of went through it in like a couple hours. And for whatever reason, I decided to play this one next. And I wasn't sure I would like this one because... At first I didn't, because the gameplay mechanics are very different. Shovel Knight's very straightforward. You jump and you slash. You can attack things without too much issue. But in this game, you can't really move unless you bash things, as you've seen I've been doing. And it launches you up into this kind of pirouette attack, which is like a downward attack. And so you can't just like slash things that are in front of you so much. Well, there's my first death. And you can't just jump over ledges simply. So this kind of indirect way of moving around was frustrating at first, and it wasn't until I was halfway through the game when I actually started to enjoy it and realized that it had a nice flow to it when you get into it. Now this boss is kind of a joke. Right now he's causing me problems because he keeps jumping, but normally you can just bash into him over and over again and he doesn't really cause you problems. I don't even really have to worry about the hearts so much. He has another form. He will come back later in the game and then be a problem. A problem for me. One of a handful of areas where I'm concerned about really wasting a lot of time. So he's handed us a Joustus card, which is the main plot of this game. So, spoilers, you are a king, kind of. Well, you're a wannabe king, and you've found out about this card game that's sweeping the land, and you want to play this card game because the champion gets titled the King of Cards, and since we're obsessed with being a king, we covet the title. Oh no, I did the one thing you don't want to do, which is go through the tutorial. Now this guy's going to try to explain the card game to me. So the game is comprised of platforming, and also, unlike the other Shovel Knight games, I think, I haven't played them, so this one has a card game involved. But you don't actually have to play the card game except for this one part of the game. For the rest of it, you can avoid it if you want to. But in this section, they're trying to teach you about the game, and you have to play it and conquer this particular card house, which involves beating the 3 preliminary people and then the boss. And the boss is really the problem because in the beginning they just kind of give you this deck of cards that is filled with not very good cards. And it's a little bit random if you win or not. And since you have to beat him at the game, you could end up sinking a lot of time here just trying to beat the stupid card game. The card game itself is an homage to the Final Fantasy card games, as far as I can tell. It's very reminiscent of the card game in Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX, in which all the NPCs in that game, you can talk to them and play the card game, but you don't have to, and you can find the cards that are based on the characters from the game, so it's kind of fun to try to collect them. So I think this was an homage to that, and the mechanics are very similar. The basic rules are that there's these gems, and you can't place a card directly on the gem, but what you want to do is slide a card onto it, and whoever has the most gems when there's no more playable spaces is the winner. And if you get all of the gems, I just did a gem sweep, you get to take more of your opponent's cards when the game's over. So I get to take 3, which is actually bad for me because it takes more time to take 3, but that's the basic rules of the game. You also see on the outer edges of most of the games. The layout of the board can be different, but you see the kind of slightly darker colored squares are out of play areas. You can push cards into those areas, but you can't actually play directly onto those areas unless you have a special type of card. So the game ends when you run out of normal playable spaces. Oops. So I can't push him out of my way. Oh wait, yes I can. There we go. So this ends the game. I have the 1 gem, and I win. And then you get to pick one of their cards. Or 3 if you collected all the gems. So here we have Black Knight, which is the boss of this particular card house. And he's a problem because he has this kind of cheap move where he destroys one of the rows on the board at random during the match. And basically makes the match go on a lot longer and potentially causes you to have to start all over. Already I'm having an issue here. My strategy for him, yeah, see, he's destroyed that entire row and just kind of drags the game on for a long time. And I'm sure people who know the game really well are crying because there's obvious ways to win quickly, but the best that I can tell to do is to try to cover the empty spots on the board as quickly as you can so that the game can be ended more quickly when you need it to, before he destroys part of the stage and causes more issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and forfeit because that's not working out for me. I'm hoping that I don't have to play him more than 2 or 3 times because this could be a real time suck. And like I said, I've discovered that the window for accomplishing the 1.5 hours is a lot shorter than I would have first imagined. So if I can get through Black Knight here with only 1 or 2 attempts, that would help out a lot in saving me time. So this game is obviously a great homage to platformers of old. You'll see elements of a lot of different games going on. I'm sure some that I'm not even aware of, but oops, I lost that one. I definitely see on the world map, when you're moving from stage to stage, it's clearly Super Mario Bros. 3. And I've heard sound effects. I swear I heard a sound effect from Kirby and maybe one from Chrono Trigger, and just random things just kind of buried in here. It might be me reading too deep, but there's also, in the whole musical style and a lot of the gameplay style in the stages, is Mega Man. Mega Man through and through, really. I'd say that is probably the most heavily handed influencer on the style of this game. So, Black Knight is being very resilient, as you might expect here. If I were to do that, it would not really help me out. I don't have too many options, though. So the other time I played this game, I ended up collecting all the cards and learning the mechanics of this pretty well. But you do get a little bit, you start to lean heavily on your cheap cards that you win as the game goes on, and having to go back to these like really bad cards in the beginning and trying to play quickly here is painful. I'm worried enough about the time that I'm going to say if I don't manage to win this round, I'm going to call it and restart this run, because I know that I need all the time extra that I can get, and he's being resistant, so we'll see what happens. Let's see, I can just push this down, and then that to the side. See, he's aggravating because when you finally get like a good layout where you think you're doing pretty well, then he runs his Destructo board thing here, and like I could end the game now, but I don't want to because I'd lose. So I'll wait for him to destroy this row and then see if things work out better for me. My best option is probably to do this. Let's see. Okay, so now I've won. Good. So that was about 15 minutes to get here. And, I mean, that wasn't the greatest, but I will say that that's the most, like, open-ended part of the whole game, where, like, you have no idea how long it's really going to take you to win. The bosses and stuff, of course, it's about skill and some luck, but this one is just mostly about luck. So that being out of the way is good. Here we got Cooper and the Bard, who have brought me to their airship, and the basic plot is that they want... I don't know exactly what they want, but I think they want somebody to follow, basically, someone to inspire them, and they've decided that you're the king for the job, so they're going to champion your story, and they want to help you beat the judges of the card game. So what you're doing is going around the world to find the 3 judges of the card game and to beat them at the card game. But King Knight has found a loophole in that all the rules really say is that he has to defeat them. It doesn't say anything about the card game, so he's decided he's just going to beat them up, basically. So you don't actually have to play the card game anymore, which is fine by me, because it would slow me down immeasurably to have to beat the actual challenging people. So the way that the game is structured is that there's basically 3 major areas and 3 major bosses of those areas. And once you've gotten to the end of the area, you go to their boss realm. And then there's a final area and it's a little, there's not as many stages there, and it leads up to the final boss, who themselves has several forms. So structurally, you can choose your own paths on the map. You don't have to go to every stage, collect any of the items and things, so it gives you a lot of freedom to kind of decide how long the game's going to take you. And in our case, we want to go as quickly as possible, but I am going to pick up some hearts and things along the way, and I should be paying more attention to grabbing medals and stuff too, because the medals are going to let me get something good. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Let's see, so how are we doing? Not too bad. About 17 minutes in. A lot of the stages actually go pretty fast. Where the time gets sucked away is that card game and then the bosses. And then random stupid deaths like that, where I'm just not paying attention. I have been awake for a while at this point, so I'm a little bit spacey, and I had a lot of interesting, good things to say about this game in my first recording that I can't use, so I'm trying to remember some of the stuff that I wanted to touch on, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm hitting these checkpoints, which allow you to return to that point if you should die. And interestingly, you can destroy some of the checkpoints in this game and get money for them, and then they don't work as checkpoints anymore. But we obviously don't want to do that in our case, because we want to get through this with as little backtracking as possible. But every stage kind of has its own little mechanic that they designed And one of the nice things about this game is that they don't overdo it in terms of like drilling some mechanic into you until you're so sick of it. That was my bad. I should have hit the book again. But in this stage, it's hitting the book, and then these invisible blocks appear. And in a lot of games, they'll like do what I call the Tetris syndrome, which is that they start you off with something simple like this idea of invisible blocks, and then the levels keep getting higher and higher, like in Tetris, until it gets so insane that you can't possibly keep up with it anymore, and it's just really aggravating and not always the most fun gameplay. But this game is nice in that they introduce the mechanic, and you get the idea, and then you never see it again. It's like, this is the only stage where this exists. And I actually kind of prefer that, because it's like, I get to have fun with it, but it doesn't get overly complicated unnecessarily. And there's a couple things that make a return, but I think that's it strikes a good balance. Whoa, that was close. If I can luck my way into some more things like that. Okay, there's our mother, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to her and buy this yummy pie that she's made. I don't think I can afford a second one right now. I think it's cost 3,000. Yep. So it's worth the time, because if it saves me from dying one time by having the extra hearts, that's gonna, save me 3 minutes every time. So it's a good thing. All right, here we've unlocked the first boss stage. So, oops, no, I don't know why I did that. I went to the, I went to the completely wrong stage. I'm gonna go back to the title screen. That would be really bad. You can see all these guys walking around every time you come back to the world map, and they're like bonus bosses that you can fight. And you, for our purposes, we don't want to run into them at all. That would just be a time suck. And I had that experience in one of the other playthroughs where I had to run into one because he was just in the way. And it was actually faster to kill him than it was to try and go around him, or even just to have him kill me so I could hope that he moved around me, kind of a thing. This stage is not terribly long, leading up to the boss. And that's not going to stop me from struggling in it, obviously. But okay, these big fat guys are one of the things that like I had to learn more how they move and what to expect from them before I could expect to beat this game very quickly. There's a couple of enemies that are just a problem like that. These rats. Oops. And there's the lava is kind of annoying in that it's... Alright, it's a platformer, so there's going to be pits of death. But I have a few complaints with this game and with the Shovel Knight series so far from what I've seen. And not many. It's an excellent game. There's a lot of great things about it. But if I were to complain about a couple of things, I have to fight this guy, kind of, by the way, because I can't get through the floor unless he destroys it, or I can get access to a wall that I can bounce off of. So that kind of is a waste of time a little bit, but... if I had to complain, I don't have to fight this griffin, so I'm not going to. Here's our checkpoint. We're about to go to the boss. One of the things that the game, I think, does a little too much is rely on pits to make the bosses hard, because there's quite a few bosses where their patterns and stuff are interesting, and you kind of want to play their patterns and learn them and beat them the normal way. But then you fall into a pit and it's insta-death, and that's like where most of the challenge is supposed to actually be. And some people might find that fun, but I find that kind of a detracting point. And I guess that's a little bit of a matter of taste, but some of the real problems that I've experienced with the gameplay here is a lot of there are some pits and stages that are supposed to they progress the stage. You have to go down them and discover that there's more area down there. But they look exactly the same as a regular pit. So sometimes you just walk into a pit because you're like, is this stage progression? I'm not sure. and you end up killing yourself for no reason. And so there's not always great conveyance about which pits are like progression and which ones aren't. And you could argue that they did that on purpose to be trolly or to like be part of a challenge of, you know, discovery. But if you kind of like can't get past it unless you like die once, and find out that something's there that you didn't even know was there. I've never been a huge fan of that mechanic being used too much. And it's not terrible, but that's one of the things that like I wish there was a better indicator, or that they didn't make some conspicuous pits where it's like, am I supposed to walk to the edge of the screen, or am I supposed to go down here, and then you might just kill yourself without realizing it. So I bought another pie, we defeated the first boss, and now he remains on the airship. One of the fun things is that pretty much everybody that you encounter ends up joining you on your airship and traveling with you, which was an homage to a game that I really liked. I don't know if it's an homage to it, but there was a game that I really liked called Skies of Arcadia, which was pretty obscure. It came out on the Dreamcast. And they re-released a version of it onto the GameCube. But it takes place in a world where people just live in the sky and travel on airships. And you play a pirate who is slowly collecting a crew as the game goes on. So as you encounter more people, they begin joining you on your airship. And I always really liked the game. It had a really kind of robust sense of adventure, really great soundtrack. The plot was pretty typical for a JRPG kind of a thing, but it was fun and lighthearted. And I feel like maybe the airship in this game is a callback to that, or just in general to other games with airships, most of the Final Fantasy series, where you can go aboard the airship and talk to people in your party. This dragon I think I can sneak past if he'll step forward. There we go. That way I can save a little bit of effort not having to kill him. And that's a nice clean stage. I like that one. It's not too long and it's not too challenging. Here we are in the second area. I'm trying to remember the route that I took. I guess it was up, because here is the House of Cards, and I don't want to go to that because I don't want to play that anymore. I think that would take me more time than just beating the stages. So, we're about 27 minutes in, and just starting out the second area, so I'm not sure where I was at this point last time, but I don't feel like I've done incredibly better than I did when I ended up at 1 hour and 41 minutes, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to pick up some item with my medals here that's going to let go faster, and I'm not sure what that is yet, so we're just going to try to figure it out and hope that it works out. This stage has an interesting gimmick to it, in that the floor here, you can fall through it, so you have to think a little bit differently. This guy, I don't think I can maneuver around him really, so I just kind of have to take him out. There's a secret area there to the left. There's a lot of those in these stages. Some of the stages have branching paths and multiple ways you can beat the stage. And most of the times when you find the secret alternative route... oh no, I missed I could have gotten down here a lot faster. Oh well. If you find the alternate route, it'll take you to like an item or something special that... well, we don't want to do in this particular run. So the straightforward path is usually the right one for us here. Here is the worst mini-boss, and perhaps in some ways the worst boss in the game for me, and I don't know why. There's something disgusting to me about the way he moves. He doesn't get his own boss music, and yet he takes so much effort. There's just something strange about the way he moves, and that sword thrust that he sends down, like, it hits me like every time because I don't expect it. And the weird fire thing, it's like, yeah, I'll probably die to him. And he also he takes way too many hits, and it took me way too long to figure out how to, like, properly go at attacking him. And now he's he's having his way right now too, so... Luckily this game is kind of ludicrously generous with the hearts. And I haven't played the New Game Plus mode, so I don't know if that is the case in that mode. I think in that mode they reduced the number of total hearts that you can have, but I don't know if they reduced the hearts that enemies drop. But basically every boss, after 3 hits, they drop a heart for you. Oops, that was a waste. Which is really nice when you're trying to go quickly and you don't have a lot of extra life to spare. That guy took way too many hits, don't you think? It was... I don't know. If you gave him official boss music, I'd feel more comfortable with it, but just to proclaim him a mini-boss and then to have him be that annoying, it doesn't seem right somehow. Moving on to a water stage here, and the water kind of carries you forward and pushes you around. And you got these bomby guys that are just kind of annoying, and they always manage to score a hit on you before you can get away. But nothing too terrible. Oh, I remember here I want to go down and not up, because that guy's basically, it's just for the metal there. I will say one of the things that they've done with the bashing is that there's, and I'm sure you've noticed it, there's certain walls that you cannot bash against. They won't pop you up. And a lot of this game is just about figuring out how to scale a wall properly, and then how to properly time your attacks so you can get up there. So like this wall, this platform, I can't just go up because the water's rushing down and it prevents me. So I have to just kind of platform my way up. And a lot of the challenges there, trying to figure it out. Like that particular platform got me because I can't bash off of that one. So I have to scale around, and then this little slime guy is going to be a troll and I can't jump up there, so that's where a lot of the challenge comes in. And then there's big disgusting things like this that I'm not sure what it is, and I'm very, very low on hearts, so I don't want to tank and kill myself. I think that's a lot of it is I'm tempted to just try and tank my way through. And then you take up a couple hits here and there, and it adds up, and then eventually it's like, oops, I killed myself. So I was fortunate there. The stage ended pretty quickly, and I didn't end up dying before I got a turkey or something. Here, my mother character and the first judge that we defeated are starting to flirt with each other, and it's giving King Knight an existential crisis, which he chooses to ignore. He chooses to ignore most things. The King Knight is actually more of an anti-hero. He's pretty amoral. Everybody around him is encouraging him and believes in his like ability to be a leader and to be a king and to make a difference. And King Knight doesn't really follow through with that in the end. So I guess there's a kind of the anti-moral lesson they're trying to teach you. But really, I think it's that they made this game as a prequel to the story of Shovel Knight. It kind of sets up a lot of where Shovel Knight starts by showing you how the evil enchantress who's causing problems in the land got to be there, and how the knights ended up kind of meeting each other and becoming servants of the enchantress, which it turns out is all King Knight's fault in a lot of ways. And that's the basic plot. So I think they just, I don't know, I feel like they wanna, I better hit that checkpoint, like they wanted to make a game about every one of the knights. There's like 8 or so main knights, and they did 4 of them, so kudos to them on that. Well, okay, that shield guy, it's easy to not realize that he'll block your bash attack and just cause you to fall straight down. So this area is a little bit treacherous, is because these green blobs, they force you to kind of jump up whether you want to or not. And this lava, these things take their sweet time, and you gotta just wait around for them. And it feels like there's one point where those blue things here, called birders, And it feels like you kind of just gotta hover on the birders themselves in order to make it. So that was a little bit dicey there. I just kind of lucked out that I managed to get through without taking the L. Time-wise, we're doing pretty good on the second area. I'd say the second area here is the most breezy, because there's not a lot of heavy bosses, like there will be at the end of the third section. Here we have one of the more disgusting mechanics in the game, is this strange malignant-looking eel that has all these strange growths on it. I suppose those might be scales. But you have to... You can hit them multiple times and they slink in and out of their holes. This guy is really hard to get past without him getting in your way. Okay, that wasn't too bad. In this room, I kind of just decided for myself that I have to destroy everything before I try to move forward, because if you touch the water, you die. And all those things just really get in the way. It's not so bad on this screen, because even though that guy's in the way, if you just keep bashing here, he'll fall to his doom. And that brings us to checkpoint. It's not too bad. This game also has some auto-scroll sections, and this is one of them. And unfortunately, you just have to wait. This worm dragon thing that's reminiscent of the Never-Ending Story is just gonna do his thing, and there'll be some shenanigans that I have to do, avoiding this guy and jumping around a little bit. For the most part, it's just an opportunity for me to duck and to bop to the music. And I find the duck hilarious in this game, because when you hit it, he just ever so slightly moves his knees. You can see. That's it. That's the duck. The duck button does become functional in other ways, if you unlock some of the items. I think there's one that lets you cry, which is always a very valuable ability to have at any given time. I utilize it frequently enough. And you basically give you it gives you 5 hearts that you kind of have in your pocket, and you can use at any time to recover your health, as long as you have the. It takes like a second for it to come out. You have to hold down the button for a while, and so that's useful for preserving your life. And actually, if I was gonna buy something, I probably should buy that. Because it's basically like having a second life in your pocket. So this is the second boss stage. The mechanic here is a lot of jumping fish and water. The jumping fish are kind of annoying, but for the most part, they're easy to avoid. That was good, then I was able to just slide past that right away. I think that could have been done a lot more simply, but I didn't quite get it. I've reached the point where a lot of my movements are kind of autonomous. I don't have to think about them too much. The game has a flow to it, and once you've gotten used to the mechanics, I mean, it might look dazzling when you're watching it to a certain degree, and when you're first playing it, you're like, I don't know how I'm moving, but once you get used to it, it does just kind of come naturally. This area is pretty treacherous, and that, I mean, if you fall off the boat, you gotta do it all again, and it's easy to do that and kill yourself. I'm not sure what happened there, actually. That was just me being careless. But it gets worse a little bit later, because there's going to be all these fish. And the fish jump out of the water and cause problems. Oh, and one of the other things, this is another complaint for some of the gameplay mechanics, is that if you hit the bash button twice, you do this little somersault roll. And it's supposed to be handy for attacking enemies on the ground, but if you do that against a wall, it cancels out your bash, so you don't pop up. You just fall off the wall, which is very unfortunate because it kills you a lot, and it's easy to do because you have to hit the bash button twice, which if you're like me, if something goes wrong, you just start to panic and you basically just start mashing the button. And in this game, since you can't just kind of move simply, you have to do this kind of sliding motion. You go flying all over the place and you mash the button even more to try to compensate, and you end up... Uh-oh, life problems. You end up killing yourself by somersaulting against the wall. Okay, so we're in a serious health crisis here. But I think we're okay. Yeah, that section's kind of aggravating. I never noticed this pit in between there, and I just walked into it in my last playthrough and fell straight through, and I was like, I didn't even see it there. Which brings me to my last complaint about the game, is that sometimes the background and the foreground blend so much that you can't tell that there's a pit or a wall that's kind of like right there in your way. You just straight up don't see it, and it blocks you and you just die. Here's one of the cases where the main enemy of this particular boss is not really the boss so much as the insta-death floor. So you can be doing really well against him and then just die instantly. And I'm not a huge fan of that style. If he kills me by, beating me up, he's earned it, But if I just fall, it feels very anticlimactic. And but otherwise, he's not particularly challenging. He sends up all these fish to kind of guard himself, and you got to move the boat around to make sure that you have access to him. And he has regained health. I let him do it. I'm not sure how he regained health. One of his fancy moves there must have done it. And I don't know I think that's avoidable if I had done a better job. But he's giving me health too, so I guess it's only fair. Alright, 2 more hits and he's done. There we go. So I can die now. I can go right in the water there, and it'll bring me back. It would suck if that killed you. And there have been some games that I've played where they're that uncharitable. But here it just puts you in a bubble and brings you back up. Which is what it should honestly do while you're fighting him too. But I guess if you're covered in armor, you just sink and die. So that was the second area. We finished that. I think if I can afford the hard thing, and I don't know if I can, it might be worth the time to check. This person will sell me... which one is it? This one. Yeah, okay, I can afford it. This is probably the most helpful thing, because now I can cry. And crying is always the most helpful thing. It was worth the 30 seconds there that took me. And I have no more money for hearts, so we're not going to bother with that. I don't think I have enough badges either to buy, like... There's a tornado item, and I think it's in the 3rd area, which we're about to go to. That lets you basically just fly across the stage and scale walls without having to do anything. So that could save a ton of time, but I'm not sure where it is. It's one of those potion things. It could be the one just north of me here, and I want to think it is. So I'm going to go for it. And if I'm wrong, then it's going to cause problems because I'm going to waste a lot of time going after it. But the mechanic of this stage, and I haven't played it in a while, so this could be an issue, is I have to stay on top of these pillars to unwind them and open up other areas. And in order to get to the item stage, I have to go the alternate route. And honestly, if I don't pick up some of these badges as well, I might not be able to afford it, because I think this item costs 10 badges, and I have 9 right now. But the way to it, the secret route is right over here, actually, if I recall. Yeah. So I gotta go through there. Good thing I didn't get crushed. So I'm really hoping there's another badge on the way. Because if there's not, then it might have been all for naught. But I have to beat this section, which will be slightly more challenging. Okay, there's an auto-scroll. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm trying to remember exactly what to expect here. I think you just bash this in the center and then you'll be okay. I don't remember if it gets worse than this. It probably does. I think there's a ladder up here. Yeah, there it is. I've noticed you can crawl out of screen, and like I said, I haven't watched any speedrunners, but I'm wondering if I could just like invisibly climb this whole thing if I knew exactly where to go. which is pretty crazy if that's the case, because you could just fly all the way up there. And it'd be neat to find out if that is the case, but we're not going to find out today because I've just fallen to my doom trying to experiment. I'm not seeing another medal yet. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. I'm panicking. Oh. Okay. That actually worked out. Alright, very convenient. That was very efficient. It's like I planned it. But I didn't plan it at all. Now, what's going to make it even better is if this item is actually the one that I want. Okay. In order to start this guy, I have to knock him... I have to wind his thing there a few times. Yes, this is the one I want. Okay, in order to keep it, I have to go through his little mini-stage. And I'm hoping that it was worth all this time. So this is a grand experiment. I'm hoping it was worth the time going out of my way to get this, because I basically had to do a whole extra stage. And I don't know if it's going to be efficient enough for that. And also, I'm probably just going to end up killing myself with it, because I haven't used it or practiced with it. As you can see, you fly very quickly with it. If you move forward, it just scales you up the walls. Oh no. Oh no. I didn't even think I could die in that section. It was pretty safe. See, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm gonna just destroy this run by trying to use this item that I have not practiced with. And it's gonna end up just ending me. Not only that, but like, it costs vigor to use this item, and I only have so much vigor. It's one of the things you can upgrade. The moment I only have... Oh no. The moment I only have 30 vigor, and it costs about 5 to use the spin attack. And also, during the spin attack, I can hit the spin attack button again and get a little boost jump. And that costs another additional 5 when I do so. Now, this can help me move very quickly, but it's also basically tanking through the stage, so you end up taking a lot of damage while you're trying to do it. And, I mean, if you know exactly what you're doing and you're practiced with it, I'm sure it's fantastic to get you through things really fast. But I am not practiced with it, so I think it's just going to end up being more of a hindrance than a help. And I definitely spent 5 minutes getting it, so we'll find out if that was a mistake or not. Especially since now everything's changed, because I'm going to be tempted to just use that constantly, and I don't know if it's going to help me. So now that was a completely unnecessary extra stage. I probably really just tanked myself on that, because we're almost at 50-minute mark. The irony is that this stage is all ice skating and you move quickly anyway, and I kind of like this stage in that this is one of the things, like, I'm saying mechanics a lot, but they could have based the whole game off of this ice skating mechanic if they'd wanted to. It's pretty fun, it's pretty interesting, and it moves quickly. But they use it here, and I think in one part in the last stage, and that's it. Which is fine with me, and but it's just like solid game design. They came up with some really good ideas and then executed on them well, and then just didn't overdo it and bore the audience or aggravate the audience with it. So kudos to the developers on this auto-scroll section with it. It's like you're ice skating, but you have to stand still basically, and it's not it's not so simple. Oh. I feel like I've had nightmares where this sort of thing is happening. Where I'm ice skating, dressed in armor and pirouetting on a Nordic beard, bearing a lance, and oh no! Don't panic! The temptation to just follow your adrenaline and start wildly mashing buttons is still there. I think it's a discipline that you learn after playing a game for a long time. I'm sure, like, you reach that point where if you try to actually legitimately speedrun, you just have to resist all those urges and you'll learn it. But okay, I'm not a fan of this mechanic, which is these kind of pieces of ice that you have to touch and then they fall down on the spikes and prevent you from dying instantly from the spikes. And they only work if you land, like, you have to basically fall directly downward. If you try to keep moving forward after you've touched them, you'll end up landing on the spikes and hurting yourself, which is a no-go. Oh, I had an alarm going off, and now I have to actually stop the alarm on my phone before I can continue to play, and that costs me a little bit of time. It's those kind of shenanigans that ensure that I have some breathing room to get a new personal best later. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of the spike stuff, which just like kills you instantly. These wolves, with the orange Dragon Balls that they're shooting out, at first I was just trying to tank through them, but it behooves you to try to avoid them a little bit, because the damage adds up, and there's a later section where there's a lot of them, and they just shoot a whole lot, so it's better to take the little extra time to try and avoid them. I will say the game has, like most games, iframes that you can utilize to protect you from death, or to just like try to push on through past a bad guy. So I utilize that a lot here in this stage, because there's just a lot of annoying little things that slow you down that you don't want to deal with. But here is like, yeah, there's a lot going on, and I remember now though they're pretty generous here. They give you a turkey, and it's easy to restore your health, so it's annoying, but the threat of actual death isn't so high. Here you want to be careful that you don't pirouette too much, because you destroy the floor and just kill yourself, and killing yourself is never good. Don't panic. Don't. I have to tell myself, I have to physically tell myself not to panic, or I start adrenaline pushing buttons. Okay, this is a cutscene where they're telling me about the birds. The rumor is that the last judge is one of those blue birders. But nobody's seen this last judge, so nobody is certain. I am dancing just past 51 minutes. 52 minutes. So I don't know, it's getting close. This stage reminds me of Mega Man more than any other one, I think. The look of it, they have this you'll see them, they're electrical currents that really just are reminiscent of a Mega Man stage, but the music in this particular stage is also very, very Mega Man-y. Yeah, you see whenever you touch, or an enemy touches those blue squares on the bottom, it activates an electrical current that shoots out at you. Something I haven't really mentioned is this game is well loved for its music, and it is a callback to Mega Man games, and written by Jake Kaufman, who is now quite a celebrity in the gaming music world. And I was happy that I discovered him pretty early on, before he had a legitimate career writing music for TV shows and video games and things. He had done a medley for the Earthbound game called Get on the Bus by, I think, Vert was the name. I don't know if he was going by that name at the time, VIRT, but I discovered that when I was pretty young, and it was just a song that I thought was amazing, because I loved all the music in Earthbound, and as a kid, before, when most games had chiptunes like this one, and stuff wasn't orchestrated, it was so fun and amazing to hear familiar music redone in full orchestra, and just hearing it kind of gloriously ascend to a higher level. And he had made this medley of Earthbound, which was kind of had this very jazz theme to it. This section is a little bit tricky there. He brought that mechanic to its height, and you never see it again, which is fine with me. Anyway, Jake Kaufman made this song, and I didn't realize that it was a synthetic orchestra. I just thought it was a great song and a medley of all the music from Earthbound. And I was a fan of him after that. I was a fan of the song, and then I realized he wrote it. essentially by himself, I'm pretty sure. And after that, it got me really interested in learning about synthetic orchestras and how to do that sort of thing. And that's something I never got too deep into. I tried to get deep into it. I don't think I have the natural proclivity to like write music. I don't have the mindset to orchestrate multiple instruments together and understand the mechanics of how to make them blend well. I noodle around at some different instruments, the piano and the guitar, but I've never like officially learned to read music and things like that. Just something I always regretted, and I've tried to do it a few times, but I just don't seem to have the patience and the self-discipline to learn it. I ended up, oh no, I killed myself. I ended up learning more like freeform jazz and things like that, because they're kind of stuff that you can sit down and just play and have fun with, and kind of noodle around with without having to memorize like a specific sonata or something that's more complex. But as the years whiled on, I did wish that I had taken the time to really learn to read music so I could play just about anything and put it to some use. But I've always been interested in Jake Kaufman's work and synthetic orchestra ever since I heard one of his original songs. So I was very pleased to see that he had written the music for this and that it had become so popular. The music in this is good. Oh, that's a fun little part there where you have to kind of dodge around. But I'm not a huge like chiptune fiend. I'm a huge fan of orchestrated music that takes known works and then kind of makes them fully orchestrated. Whether that be old rock music or music from video games or TV shows, movie scores and stuff like that. I find it interesting to analyze how it conveys emotion and how there's kind of this secondhand dialogue of emotion that goes on with stuff like that. It's also just fun to hear something kind of be brought to a new level. Oh, no, that was the wrong choice. I confused myself somehow, and I thought I could just go right into that portal, and I could not. I had to bash off the wall first. Oh, that was a time setback. That's unfortunate. That was quite the setback. This dragon can be really aggravating, because I don't know if he's on like an RNG thing or what, but he really does do a good job of getting in your way sometimes. This whole section... This whole stage with the tornadoes that kind of warp you around. It's not too bad, but this auto-scroller part, any of the auto-scroller parts, if you fail at them, I mean, it's a big time loss. And it's a little bit dazzling to just kind of see all of this going on. You're trying to figure out what you're trying to do. What I want to do is not hit the ceiling. To bash off this wall, if I can manage it, and then grab the ring. There we go. Oh, I had so much trouble with that. My controller is not the best. I'm using an old Xbox controller, and I'm playing this game on Steam. And the up and the down on the D-pad are kind of like a little bit wonky. So sometimes when I'm trying to press left and right, it'll think I'm pressing up, and that can be an issue. So there's a pit that like I might have just jumped into that pit thinking maybe that's progression, which it is not. So that's kind of like what I'm talking about when I say that there's pits that like are a little bit ambiguous and not defined well enough. These green guys are probably the worst next to the dragons. They are really a problem. They have propellers that blow you in another direction, and boy, they get in the way, and they can cause you a lot of problems. They cause me a lot of problems anyway. And it's better just to kill them, I think, if you can manage it. But yeah, but they do a good job of evading that as well. And then by the time you do, you've lost a lot of health sometimes. If I really took the time to like learn their movements. This one, it's kind of necessary because you have to flip off of something to destroy the floor there. Here there is turkey. Or no, it's a check. Yeah, there's a turkey. Nope, it's just an apple, but good enough for our purposes. So they have this wind thing going on that's moving you up and down, which I'm generally okay with. Over there to the left is a secret area where you can get extra money and stuff if you care about the money. But we're not about the money, we're about the time, because time is money. And this time I need the dragon so I can destroy the floor. But he's... Oh, wow, he really helped me that time. Kudos to him and sacrificing his life and getting me to the next section. Oh, no, I remember that. It's kind of almost no choice but to wait for the cycle on that. It's really hard to just stand still and wait for something, but like the wind is pushing me down here, and I really have to wait for the air to move upwards before I can... Oh, and see, I was impatient and I tried to take a shortcut. I thought if I could bash off the side of the wall there, I could get to the ladder faster. It really wasn't necessary for me to take that risk. And I just ended up killing myself. But what you want to do, usually, is just to wait for it to take you up to the ladder like that. There's a green guy here, yep. And he's just gonna get in the way. That wasn't too bad, but I had to take the time to kill him. I mean, I'm obsessing over tiny nickel and dime stuff like that when what would really save me all the time in the world is just to never die. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. See that pit right there? It feels like that red strip that was going across was like real floor. And, that's an area where, like... Oh no. That's an area where, I might just fall down because I thought that there was really floor there when there wasn't. So that was an unfortunate death, but it's okay. We'll get it next time. And this is next time, so... It's getting dicey, though. I don't think I can afford any more carelessness. And a lot of it does come that I'm talking so much and trying to think about certain things that I'm really distracting myself from executing properly on the gameplay here. So if I was smart, I'd just be quiet, but that's not as nearly as much fun, is it? Okay, don't go yet. Wait for the wind. Wait for this guy to catch up with you and be annoying. And there we go. It's a brass ring. So where are we at here? Okay, we're at the third boss stage. No, wait, okay, here it is. Here's the Spectre Knight round 2. And this fight can be a problem. At least you can skip most of the cutscenes by pressing start. I think they had speedrunners in mind for that, but... this guy's got two phases, and this is his first form, which is the same as the first time you fought him. And basically, if you just keep rolling into him, he'll be done relatively quickly unless he jumps around a lot. But the real problem with this guy, and it took me a couple times to really organize any kind of strategy for him. I knew this lantern was here because I wanted you to use it, and it really is the key to the, at least for me, the strategy for him is that you're really tempted to dash over his head when he comes flying up next to you. And you just kind of have to resist that urge and let yourself fall a little bit lower than you think you need to. Okay, health is now an issue. So this is where we might want to cry and get our health back. See, that helps out a lot. I might have... I mean, that could have been the run right there. Saving that extra bit of time. By not dying and having to do this all over again. I mean, like, taking the extra time to slow down and actually hit him is worth it if it means I'm not going to have to fight him 3 times. Sometimes you just have to take the hit from him too, rather than move out of the way, because... I mean, it's tempting to just, like that, to try and dodge it, but I'm going to get a lot of hits in by taking the hit from him, so it's worth it. And there was one of the times where I jumped over his head and dashed too early. Alright, so this is why he's a problem, because at the end, my health is gone, and he has turned the whole screen black. I think this is my biggest complaint about the game, is I get it's cool, but like, at that point there's almost no skill. It's just like, I have to luck my way through and hope that in the darkness I manage to randomly hit him a couple times. and there's an extent to which I can learn the skill of knowing where he's at and watching his silhouette, but for a speed run, it's kind of a nightmare. And a run ender, like that might have been it for me. I might not be able to finish in time now because I have to fight him all over again. And the best thing to do is just to hover in the middle and wait for him to pass, and then try to hit him in the head, and then just be mindful of which way he's throwing his scythe. When the lights go out, I don't know, it's no holds barred there. I just kind of start flying around and hoping that I'm gonna randomly hit him, because it's at the end. He's only got like 2 HP left when that happens. Oh, I was trying to recover my health. I took the gamble, and he walked right into me at just the wrong time. Okay, so now we got a problem. I might have to be quiet and really focus here, because I've got less than 25 minutes left to beat. Let's see. It's this guy, the next stage, and the boss. And then there's 3 stages in the next section. And the final boss, who has 3 forms. So that's a lot of ground to cover, and not enough time. So I just cannot afford any deaths at all. Of course, having said that, it's causing me to want to panic rush, and I'm just taking damage, being careless. I have to risk this again. Nope. Try it one more time. Alright. Bear down. We got this. Alright. Well, with the lights out. Okay, he stood in one place and let me bash his skull in, so I'm always appreciative when people stand in one place and let me bash their skull in. Oops. So we're now at 107, and oh, it's gonna be tight. I really don't know. I'm really gonna have to not die and pay better attention to everything. So let's do this. Now it's for serious. Of course, sometimes when you try to take it seriously, you end up making things worse for yourself. But this stage, as I recall, has an auto-scroll area. Pretty sure. That's okay. I have to get this guy to bash the floor, basically, or I can do it that way. And here, okay, this is a troublesome area because these birders come out of the walls, and if you're not moving stealthily enough, they catch up to you, and it's bad. But we got through it, and we got our turkey, and we're gonna ignore those guys and continue on our way. Okay, so the dragons are starting to appear. Oh no, that was bad. Not too much with time loss, but just that was careless of me. Did it again. The dragons got me distracted. I'm trying not to fight him or to activate him, basically, because once you do, it's like a thing. There we go. Okay. Up and over. So this is, I mean, pits and spikes and moving platforms. And then floating fish. You know it's serious when you start seeing floating fish in any game. Floating fish are always an indicator of, like, stuff just got real. So rather than actually observe the screen and try to remember what the pattern is for this particular area, I chose to just leap forward, which is usually a sure recipe for death. So I'm starting to go into panic mode and go too fast, and eventually it's going to cost me, I think. But right now... Okay, so here we have the problem that I forgot all about this lovely item that I got. Well, that might make the big difference. How did I forget that? I've been playing this game so long, just using the ordinary mechanics. I'm just gonna take the death here, because I only have one heart. I've been playing so long with only the basic items that I completely forgot that we went all the way out of our way to pick up this item that makes us move faster. And I'm sure you've been screaming at the screen, wondering why I am not using the wonderful item that I got, which is going to help us beat this guy, apparently. I've never used it on a boss before, but, wow, that's helping. So, this guy's normally kind of tricky because I mean, the walls close in and he's got all this dazzling stuff that he throws around, but, I'm hoping he'll be relatively short work. Okay, I'm out of vigor, so I can't use it anymore. Also, my health is precarious, but he keeps restoring his health. But wow, okay, that was a one attempt win, so that's helpful. Oops, can't skip yet. I'm very eager to skip the scenes. Okay, so the Enchantress shows up. She's mad because I've beaten the 3 judges. And the birder that was transformed into a king by the Enchantress is now excited that he's sentient and wants to share his wisdom with me, which he apparently does. And, I have enough money to buy other stuff, but honestly, I'm just gonna go as fast as I can. I got less than 20 minutes to beat the final area, which is 3 stages in the final boss. So, the final boss, I will say ahead of time, that he has caused me grief. And I think I memorized most of his patterns well enough, but the Enchantress is not the final boss. Spoilers. She transforms, the king, the 3 kings, into a boss that you have to fight, and he's actually the final thing that you fight. And here's a silhouette area that I don't like the silhouette areas. They're cool, but I can't tell what I'm doing. There's a secret platform right there. I got it. The Enchantress, I'm not as good at beating her as I am at the final boss, but I mean, we'll see that when I get there. And I'll get there either way. Whether I'll get there with time to spare is another question. But I know you're probably wondering why I'm not using this item to progress, but it's more that I'm super nervous about using it in an actual stage when I've never done that before. I don't know if it'll just kill me or what's gonna happen. And there's only a couple stages left, so I figure I might as well just go with the gusto and do it manually. So like, I felt I was gonna do it before it happened, but it's okay. I think I can still manage. Unfortunately, the item doesn't help a whole lot in this section, just because the way that they have the timing of everything laid out, you have no choice but to play a waiting game in some of these spots. But that was definitely a minute or two setback. But like the darkness and the spikes and the pits, a lot. It's a lot going on. My first playthrough, I went to great pains to recollect my money bags, which drop off of you when you die. And that's really the only penalty when you die, is that you go back to the last checkpoint and then you have to collect your money bags if you care about the money. But it turned out there was an item that I just didn't get until like the very end of the game that I think makes it a lot easier to recollect the bags. It's like a horn that you play, and I think it draws the bags to you or something. But I haven't really tried it. But it was another example of me making this game much harder on me than it needed to be. These prison doors here are things I can destroy. I have to bash them to move forward, but they're almost blends completely with the background, so that's one of my minor complaints, is that I've hit them. I fell down. There's another one coming up that in front of a pit, and I've fallen down that pit a couple times, not because I don't bash, well, because I didn't realize the door was even there, because I just thought it was part of the background, which is not like a fun mechanic to me. But yeah, this door right here is almost invisible to me. So this is basically like one of the last sections. I'm gonna heal up here. And so it's pretty trolly in some ways. These dragons that I'm gonna encounter here can really get in your way, or sometimes they let you through. And I'm hoping he's just gonna let me through, of course. But okay, that worked out. This guy you kind of have to jump twice, and the third time he goes over you. This could be hectic, but I think my tornado thing might help me, but I'm not going to try to use it here just because that dragon is going to be the problem in this next few seconds here. Because he's going to chase me all the way to the ends of the earth and potentially cause my demise. Or help me. If I could kill him, I would. And I just did. Okay, that's going to help me, because there's this arrow guy here, and when the dragon and the arrow guy combine forces, it's really a problem. So here I just have to leap on this last fish, and there we go. Okay, we got 14 minutes, 13 minutes left. I got 13 minutes to get there. I have 2 more stages to go. And this stage is the last, like, normal stage, and then the boss has a little bit of stuff leading up to the boss. So it's gonna be tight. I can't die. I essentially cannot die at all. The mechanic in this one is what you're seeing here. There's this green stuff that portals you from one end of the room to the other. And yeah, combine all that with the spikes, and it's kind of a little dicey. But the worst part about this stage is there's an auto scroll coming up that if you die, it costs you a lot of time. Trying to get to this turkey. It's just an apple. I don't know if that was worth it, but it wasn't too bad. I'm sure I could use that tornado thing very advantageously, but I'm just not confident with it. So instead, we're gonna... This is a really tight window. Oh, I didn't make it without getting hit. At least I didn't fall. This guy, I kind of just have to let him shoot and then tank on through. Here, I forget every time almost that one is a bomb. It's a red herring. But I remembered this time, so nuts to you, programmers. I really just want to go past this guy, but I kind of have to fight him. Oh. Well, I tried to tank through. Alright, if we can at least hit the checkpoint. Okay, so this coming up screen is the auto scroll. We have about 10 minutes left, so I just simply cannot die. Or have any setbacks. So I might be pretty quiet. Because this whole platforming part is very unpleasant. This is like the last final challenge of the game. You kind of have to know where you need to be before you know it. Before you're there. Oh, floating fish, what did I tell you? Alright, one last little part. I gotta jump to this lonely lantern. Stay on it. I think I gotta go to the right. I gotta bash up there, and that'll be the end. Well, I gotta go through these. Oh no. Uh-oh. That was ludicrously lucky. I should have just died. I don't know. I landed on the lantern completely invisibly and bounced off it a couple times. That was completely fluke, so maybe there's some kind of strange luck going on here that wants me to accomplish this goal. Because I got 9 minutes to beat the final boss. To get to the final boss and beat the final boss. So I cannot die. There's absolutely... I don't even know if it's possible, time-wise. And I don't even know when to call time. Is it at the end of the credits? Because I might not even be able to get to the end of the credits in time. But I have to get there and not even... There is absolutely no window for error. So I might just be quiet and let whatever happens happen. So here's hoping I see you at the end with a victory. I have one last turkey here. Don't even know if it was worth the time it took to get it. This is the last screen of platforming. The one last troll thing they do to you is that you can't wall bash this last little pedestal. You can't make this final jump, so you have to land on top of it, and we did that. This is the last checkpoint. And here's the boss. I have less than 8 minutes to beat her and the 2 forms after her. So, let's do it. I don't know if it's even possible. She can be pretty trolly in that she kind of moves around randomly here. So, I can't be certain when she's going to come up and be available to hurt. Or if I'll hit her when she does. And right now I'm not doing a great job at catching her. Uh-oh. Well, I haven't hit her in a long time. I think this is it. Yep. I think that was it. I still have 6 minutes. I still have 6 minutes, but it seems highly unlikely that I clear 3 bosses in 6 minutes, if that's even possible. I thought I'd try the tornado thing to see how it works. definitely lets me get to her with more ease. That's more the kind of combo I was hoping for the last round. I'm definitely feeling the stress and panicking and killing myself. So that was the run, I think. I mean, I have 5 minutes left, but now our only goal is to come in basically under an hour and 41 minutes, which was what I had last time. I think this item is definitely the key to, if I'd been using it a little bit earlier, I could have bought myself a little more time, and then obviously, if I hadn't died to the Enchantress, it would have been better. Really just more, it's a problem for me to catch her. I'm gonna try saving my tornadoes for towards the end with her. God, the fighting spirit is leaving me, as well. The time constraint has once again defeated me. There we go. Well, that was a strong finish for her anyway. I think that's the strategy, is to follow her around with the portal thing. Although, it's arguable, I spent about 5 minutes getting the portal thing, or the tornado thing. So that might have hurt me. Because right now we're at 1 minute, or 1 hour, 27 minutes and 40 seconds. And, if I had just managed to kill her on the first run, I might have been able to do it. But I just don't think... You can't beat this particular final boss in 2 minutes, so... At least I really don't think you can, and if you can, I certainly don't know how to do it. He's very reminiscent of the Mega Man 2 final boss. The claws and everything, I think he's supposed to be basically an homage to that. He's comprised of... his pattern is mostly that there's a way to hit him about 3 times in between each of his different movesets. Some of them are challenging than others. I've gotten pretty good at beating him. You know, what's painful is I have 50 seconds. If I can beat him in 50 seconds, I have 50 seconds now. Oh man, this is tight. I still have 35 seconds. I don't know when time is. I don't know when time is. When is time? I have 20 seconds. According to my clock, anyway. Oh my gosh, did I actually do this? This is so weird. I have 10 seconds. I can't skip the cutscene. Time is gonna be an hour and 30 right now. So if I missed it, I missed it by the stupid ending taking an extra 20 seconds. Oh man. If I missed it, that was so darn close. Because actual time was an hour, 29 minutes, and 34 seconds. Like, I beat the game within the time frame, unless you want to count the name, entering the name, and then me having to press start to get through the credit section. But like final hit, I came in at just under. But I don't know if I don't know when it'll tell me if I unlock the feat. I don't think I did. I'm over by just like literally 30 seconds. No, I got it! I got it! Oh yes, that is so satisfying. I can't believe I got it. I came in at like literally 30 seconds left. Literally less than 30 seconds left. Time was an hour and 29 and 34 seconds. That is like the most clutch possible ending that I think I could have come up with. I had given up completely. Absolutely everything that I did came down to just that 1 minute of time frame. So if I'd done anything differently or given up the ghost or died one more time or taken an extra couple seconds to explore an avenue or anything, I think I would have been done. Wow. I'm very pleased with that. That was very surprising. I really did not think I was going to pull that off this time. And I recorded it and everything too. That's exciting that I got that close. I'm sure it was cringy to watch me fail and die so many times, especially if you are watching actual speedruns of this, but I don't know anything about the routing, so that is my new personal best, and I unlocked the feat. I probably won't be trying to do even better than that. I'll probably check out a speedrun though to see how other people handle it and the kind of cool things that they can do, either with items or without items. I am going to go back and play Shovel Knight, I think, and take it apart more. And I might try to do a speedrun of that one as well, if it also has... I think all the games have, like, beat it in a certain amount of time. So this was fun, and I might try doing it for the other 3 games whenever I get through them. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, let me know, and I'll try to follow up with that. But otherwise, this was an amazing victory that I was not expecting. I was hoping, but I'd really given up hope around the Spectre Knight fight when it looked like it was all doomed. So I'm glad it worked out. It came in at a nice tight hour and a half. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time if there is a next time.